Hello again, it's Elizabeth and I'm over here in my art loft ready to print some more gears, I hope. We'll see how it works out today. Let me put this cover away. The other day I made myself a rubber stamp and it looks like this, and it's got 3 gears on it, and I used that to subtract paint from my gel plate when I put the paint on. So what I've been using for the paints, I've been making a combination of this blueberry by Delta Ceram Coat. So I just kind of put it in different places, and I probably will put too much because I've been doing that too, but subtracting it off doesn't seem to hurt. This is the Red Rouge, semi-opaque. I think the blueberry doesn't really say. And I've been using this brown, burnt umber. And a little bit here, a little bit there. Come on. There we go. Don't want too much brown. And I love this color that I've mixed up. So it's not really the Aqua Cool Pearl. It has probably some pearl in it, but it's not just the Aqua Cool Pearl. It has a little bit other stuff. And it looks close to that other blue, but it's a little bit brighter. So I like that. Then I grab my trusty brayer, and this isn't my squeaky brayer, it's my regular one, and just kind of mix all those colors together on my plate. And I'm not really trying to get any particular color in any place. I'm just trying to get and that's a little thing we don't need there. Trying to get a good coverage and trying to make it not look like, so I'm swirling my brayer around without rolling it to kind of mix the edges of those little blobs that I've put on there, because if you don't do that, then you get kind of like a blob of paint here and a blob of paint there, and you don't get a good mixture. So when I've gotten a good mixture, which I believe I have, and we can tell by flipping our our plate over and looking at it, which we'll do in just a second when I subtract a little bit of this off and put it onto my alternate plate over here, my little baby plate. Learned this from Jackie Jimerson. She goes by Jackie S, I think, on the Creations by Jackie S, I believe it is, on YouTube. I'm just going to roll my brayer off over here on this piece of paper. And let's see what this other side of this looks like. Yeah, it looks like a pretty good combination. I don't have the paint smooth though, so I'm going to go put some more, roll my brayer around a little bit more, and then I'll show you what happens. We want this to dry a little bit. We don't want it to be wet when we're subtracting paint from it, because if it's too wet, then the paint just fills back in essence, and just comes off the surface instead of coming off the whole plate. I want to make sure it's as even as I can get it, because then you don't see those lines, and I don't like the lines. I don't like the splotchy colored. I want it to be very evenly done, as if it was a sheet of paper that color to start with. So I'm just rolling that off, and the little one's probably ready to go because it didn't have as much paint as the big one did, so we'll subtract a few things from it right now, and I'll show you what that looks like. Well, that didn't come out really well, did it? See if we can get that to go again. Didn't get a good impression. Now I got a double impression, but that's all right. And you have to stamp your rubber stamp. It's still got some paint on there, but not as much as it would have if I didn't take it over to the side and remove that paint onto a piece of paper. But you can see here that we have a nice set of cogs on this one, and it's about ready to take those off of this too. So what we do is just like that, stamp off. And I like to kind of mix it up where they overlap, because you get a really different, cool effect, I think. So we'll get a few here, a few here. Got paint on my edge of my acrylic there. And sometimes you can stamp a couple of times before you have to stamp it off onto the piece of paper. I turn my plate as I go so I can get different combinations so that this one isn't always at the bottom and this one always at the top. Because otherwise it's kind of boring. Okay, so let's do one there. Get that down in there good. And stamp in there, turn it around maybe a little bit more. Okay, don't slide off the table. That would not be good. I'd have a lap full of paint. That's what I wanted to say. Yep. Okay. And the effect I'm going for here is just a combination of cogs, kind of a mishmash of machinery, if you want to call it that. I want it to look kind of, well, to make you think of machinery because we're going for a steampunk thing. I'm planning to make a steampunk journal from these pages, or copies of these pages. Haven't decided if I'm doing that yet or not. If I make copies, then I'll have them in my Etsy shop. I haven't decided to do that at this time, but you never know. Tomorrow's another day, as Scarlett would say. And let's get one more in there. Then we'll let the rest of that dry. And we'll be ready to put our coat of pickup paint. Okay, so this one's dried enough, and it was a very thin layer in the first place, so I'm going to use a really light gold. This is a Ceramcoat metallic 14 karat gold. Should have ordered some of that the other day when I ordered some of those other things. My paint's almost gone, so it makes a little sound. I'm going to use my baby brayer to spread that out. And I know I'm off camera on this, but I can't have them all in the same place, and it's hard to move them around, so I'm just going to do this. I'll show you the results when I get it. So what I'm doing is trying to spread an even, nice even layer on this. It's kind of hard because I wrecked my brayer. I did it on purpose, but it doesn't matter. I mean, what I did was to chink up the edges because it wasn't flat in the first place. So it wouldn't have been perfect if I hadn't done that, so that doesn't bother me. I want to get it as smooth as I can without too many little lines in it. So I believe that one's ready to pull. Grab a sheet of this white paper. Put it down. Give us a nice, really heavy rub to make sure that it gets adhered to the paper. Picks up the ink that was already on there, the paint that was already on there. And well, it wasn't a perfect print, but it's not too bad. It's probably going to be usable. And I got some grunge on there to use for the next time I do one. Okay, and this one's probably ready too. We'll give that the lovely Extreme Sheen by Deco Arts. I really love this paint. It is perfect for picking up anything on your plate. It's just the right wetness, it seems like, and the right consistency that it spreads nicely and rolls nicely, and just really like that paint. And it's beautiful gold, so what more could you want, right? So I'm spreading this on my plate. Nice even thin coat, because that's what you use to pick up stuff. And I know it's not perfect yet, but I'm not done yet. You can kind of hear it if it sounds like it's just tearing tissue or whatever. That's when it's probably just the right consistency to be picking up the paint underneath. That has a good coverage. Looks like it's not got any lines in it. Just roll that off over there. And I'll get my piece of paper, white. The paper I'm using is called Finch Fine, and it's a commercial grade paper. And I ordered had to order a whole ream of it, which was like 250 sheets or something, and the sheets were like 21 by 30, 21 by 30 or something like that. So I've cut it down. I used to use it for marbling. I've used it for book pages. I've used it for a lot of different things. It's not acid-free, but it seems to be buffered really well because it doesn't seem to yellow, at least in the 10 years I've been using it. And it has such a nice, smooth finish to it. It would be great for calligraphy or anything like that. Once again, if you're trying to make something totally archival, you would not want to use it, but there are lots of things that make things less archival, even our smog. If you live in, say, California or something, you might have smog or something that would make it. In Kentucky, we don't have that often. Okay, so what we got is a nice, colorful picture with a lot of cogs. And the darkness, and then the gold, and that will dry a little bit different than it looks here. This right here, that's the brown. That's not really gold, but it's an interesting print. I like it, and that's a good one. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to try another one. I don't know if I have time to do it on screen, but we'll try it. I'm just going to put this one over here. Put it on my drying rack later. My drying rack's over on the other side of the room on the floor. And it works really well. Okay, so this time we're going to use the same colors virtually, but we're going to not use the I'm not going to use, well, no, I think I'll use those. No, I think I'll use, instead of that brown, I think I'm going to use the chocolate cherry brown. This chocolate cherry brown is really pretty. It's a brownish red, if it's got any in there. Come on, baby. Oh, yeah, spit on it. Little bitty dots. That'll be all right. Smear it around with everything else. And I think I'm going to use some of this green. I think this one's got a little bit more in it. The pine green. It gives a little different look. All right. They all sound like they're blowing their nose or something. Okay. And I'm going to use my red because the red kind of brightens everything up. And my blueberry. Okay, that looks good enough for rolling. That big burger again. And we'll just kind of mix that all together in a nice little mix. So it's not too distinct where each of the different colors started and ended. You're still getting like splotches of green and splotches of red and so on, and I really do have way too much paint on here, so I'll be subtracting some of that off over to my little baby plate. And we have a couple of paint boogers. These are where the paint is dried in the tube, and they get paper towel, and they get little dried up splotches that get on your brayer and make weird things on your plate. I have a piece of the Kleenex right there too. I don't want that either. Put that down in the trash. Let's see if we can get this a nice even coverage. So we're going to do the same exact thing again. We're going to put our paint on, and we're subtract it off with our cogs. Take a little bit less, a little bit more off of that. The side plate, the little plate over here, doesn't get a, it just gets a nice rich color. It doesn't usually get the color variations that that one does unless I put the paint actually on it. And I've been having trouble with this one. It got a kind of a cupped surface where the edges of it were like up a little bit higher. Makes it really hard to roll a nice even layer on it. Okay, that looks pretty good on that. Roll this off over here. Or either that or it's my brayer. My brayer seems to have a cup in it too. Okay, so that one's probably ready to pick up. It's almost ready anyway. You can tell from the texture of it. And so we just put our cogs down there in several different places. Let's put that over here. Stamp it off. And turn this around, makes it easier. I have this on this long plexi. It makes it easy to handle it. Just hold it back here, and then you have your stamps on that end. Stamp that off again. Got a lot taken off right there, but that's all right. We'll not worry about it. Maybe some little ones there. Okay. That one looks like it's ready to roll off. So this time I think I'm going to use a copper. I have a metallic copper. I also have brass around here somewhere. Where was that? Was that this one? Oh, that's Kim gold. We'll use that. That's a little different gold. The same Delta Ceramcoat gleams. They have several different nice shiny colors. So there's Kim gold, there's 14 karat gold, there's regular gold, there's silvers, of course, which I don't really want the silvers for this. There's copper, there's brass. I think that's about it. Oh, titanium. They have a titanium too, and titanium is pretty cool. It's a little bit darker silver than just the silver. Okay, you know what I mean. Okay, I did that with the big brayer, and that actually worked better than with the little brayer, so maybe we'll do that next time. Got the back of that messed up. Oh, well, we didn't get much there, but we have some on our plate that looks pretty good. So this is going to be interesting for the next time. Oh, maybe not. Can you see that? Okay, might have shined it. I didn't look in the camera, so I might have been too shiny. I know there's a reflection. I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. Okay, again, we're taking off the colors that we put on, so it will have holes that are nice gold or copper or whatever color we decide to use will show through. Now sometimes with this kind of stamp, the stuff that's on the stamp will come back onto the plate, and sometimes you like that and sometimes you don't. Just all depends on the look you want. And sometimes when you stamp it off, it'll come off over there. And sometimes you get your fingers in it. Golly gee willikers. Okay. Turn it around, make it easier on me. You bad bottle. See if we can disguise that, maybe with the middle of that. Yep, doesn't look too bad. And then we'll put a cog over the top of it. Ha ha ha. I don't mind that sometimes the cogs don't come out perfect. I think that adds to it, because then you see, I mean, your eye perceives that as it being in the distance or being overlapping something else. So it doesn't really matter if that happens. I have to fix it so my pencils quit rattling. They're annoying me. Okay, that looks good. So now we're going to use our beautiful gold again, because I like it the way it picks up. Again, it's the Extreme Sheet Deco Arts. Deco Art. I guess it doesn't say S. A little bit right there. Our big brayer. Make sure it's got all the boogers off of it. Come on, you. Okay, and roll that out. I like to kind of spread it out a little bit first. There we go. I'm getting a nice, too dry. You see it's too dry, so what's happening is I'm picking up the bottom ink from onto the brayer. But that's can't talk today. That can sometimes turn out nice if you can get it to show that, you know, show the little bit that's left there on. Well, anyway, we'll pick it up and see if it looks good, and then we'll say it looks nice if it does, and if it doesn't, well, we'll have to start all over. But sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of white showing in your print, because sometimes that just adds to it. Or you can paint something there that you want there, or whatever. Rubbing a little bit hard, making sure I get all over the paper. And let's see how it looks. I'm going to make sure we well, it's not very gold, but it's not very white either. I mean, it's not really white. It's got a little bit of sheen to that. And I don't know if you can see it, but there is gold there. And there are the different colors, you know, the greens and the purples, and the fingerprints on it. Okay, so that was successful. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please subscribe. Please like my video, and oh yes, leave a comment if you have anything to say. Thank you. Bye-bye.